Hey everyone, we'll go ahead and get started. This is Stephanie Loop and Courtney Neubauer. Today we are going to be talking about the seamless summer option for 2022. So our agenda for today is to talk about the SSO waiver options that are available through June 30th. We're also going to talk about what is available after that date. So what can you do after that expiration of June 30th? We're going to talk about which waivers are expiring. And then we're also going to be talking a little bit about possible COVID instance specific waivers. So what the month of July and or August may look like. Okay, so just to start off, the waivers we're discussing today are all specific to the seamless summer option or SSO. We are not speaking about the summer food service program or the SFSP today. So if you are doing the SFSP instead of the seamless summer option, then this may not be the right training for you. If you have any questions about SFSP, you can refer to the SFSP waiver training that occurred last week. It's posted on the Louisiana Fit Kids website. And of course, you can always contact us here at the state agency. Okay, so who is eligible to participate in the SSO? So basically it's school food authorities or SFAs. So your public school systems, the private school systems, parochial school systems, charter school systems, anyone who's an SSA is eligible to participate in the SSO. So the SSO is always a summer feeding option for SFAs, even in more traditional, less COVID related times. The SSO is always an option. Okay, so first we're going to talk about the summer operations prior to that June 30th date. So if an SFA is already approved and operational under the seamless summer option, which I think most of you are for this current school year for 21-22, the extension of those operations for the summer month feedings will be done with a revision of your current year SSO application. So if your plan is to just continue SSO into the month of June, it's going to be done under the green tab, under the application that you already have in. So to request for extended SSO operations beyond the closeout of the current academic school year, you're going to revise your current application. You're going to update your operating calendars to extend or add additional dates of operation. And then you're going to apply those changes only to the sites that are going to operate SSO. And I will note here that you should leave in all of your school year dates. So when you go in and make those changes when you're extending your SSO, don't delete out your school year dates. You're just extending through the dates of your summer operations. As a reminder, the CACFP at-risk program can only operate when school is in session. So once your school year ends, the CACFP at-risk program must also end as well. So let's talk about what is expiring June 30th of this year. So most SFAs were operating under the seamless summer option for this past school year via use of the nationwide waivers numbers 85 and 86. And most of these waivers are set to expire on June 30th of 2022. So important waiver options include the SFSP rates of reimbursement. So as you know, you've been receiving that higher rate of reimbursement throughout this entire school year, and that continues to apply through June 30th. So the SFSP rates of reimbursement may continue to be applied toward reimbursable meals served or reported in that June SSO claim for reimbursement. So that will continue through June 30th. Along with your non-congregate feeding options. So things like grab and go services that may issue either single meals or multi-day meals. Just to note, you cannot provide more than 5 days worth of meals at one time. or the home delivery models, they're still permitted under SSO through June 30th of 2022. And additionally, parent guardian pickup can also be utilized through June 30th of 2022. So what do you need to do if you plan to use waiver options through June 30th? What you're going to need to do is you're going to need to log into our CMP system. You're going to need to check the waiver options that you are currently opted in for this current program year to determine if you need to make any edits to your waivers in order to support your SSO summer operations that you want to offer. So in order to do that, you're going to log into the CMP website. You're going to go to that green SFS or School Food Service tab. You're going to click on Forms, then you're going to click on Waivers. And if you need to make any changes to your SSO waiver elections, what you're going to have to do in order to make those changes is email child nutrition programs at la.gov and then indicate which waivers need to be released for editing. And at that point, we can release those waivers and you can make the edits that you need and make sure that you are up to date for summer 2022 SSO operations. This is kind of what that screen looks like. Again, it's under the SFS tab, under Forms, and under Waivers. You can see in this example, there were things like delivery of meals to households that were opted out. That's something, you know, if your meal service methods are changing, if you're making changes to how you're operating in June, we can release any of those waivers and you can opt into anything that you previously had not had use for. Okay, so here's some important reminders for SSO. If you are using non-congregate feeding in summertime SSO operations, all the forms that were previously required for use of these flexibilities are still applicable. So this could be things like you're going to need parent or guardian pickup forms or rosters, if that's applicable to you, if you're utilizing that option. If you're issuing more than 1 day's worth of meals at a time, you need to use the multi-day daily meal count forms. And again, like I stated earlier, per USDA's latest guidance, no more than 5 days worth of SSO meals may be issued at one time. But just be reminded that you would need that daily meal count, the multi-day daily meal count form, because that form needs to indicate exactly what you issued out at the point of service. Also, any alternate point of service or count forms. So if a school is going to be utilizing 2 separate points of service or 2 separate counts, the point of service would need to be maintained if you're offering, for instance, curbside grab-and-go meals as well as cafeteria-based point of service. So if you've got 2 different locations or methods that you're using, you would need daily meal count forms for both of those. Or, you know, you could always use electronic points of service as well. Also, an approved home delivery plan is required if you're doing any home delivery. This was required during the school year, but if this is something new or something that where the method is changing a little bit, if it's something you're planning to do this summer and you've got different procedures or a different menu, then you do need to do a new application and approval for your home delivery plan. So if this is new to you or there's any changes to what you were previously doing, make sure that you reach out to us and we can approve your home delivery plan. And also, as a note with the home delivery plan, you've got to have parent opt-in forms or household opt-in forms if you're going to use that option. All right, so let's talk about summer operations after that June 30th expiration of waivers. So what summer meal service options are available after June 30th? If your SFA intends to operate into July and/or early August before your school year starts, then you're going to need to do a new application for July operations. So what you'll need to do is a new year SSO application once you've already completed the 2022-2023 NSLP program application. So if you're doing SSO, you will into the month of July and or August, you will have to do the NSLP program application, which if you'll remember, that's stuff like your Schedule A, your income and expense form, all of those things have to be done, at which point you can fill out a new year SSO application for the remainder of the summer. If you decide not to stick with SSO, then you can put in a 2022 SFSP application for any sites that are operating into the month of July and or August. So our expired nationwide waivers as of July 1st of 2022 are the non-congregate meal service, the multi-day meal distribution, the parent guardian pickup, and home delivery of meals. So these are the things that as of July 1st of 2022 will no longer be available to the seamless summer option or the SFSP. So what does the absence of a non-congregate feeding waiver mean to your sponsoring organization? So what will need to occur at that point is that children participating in the program will have to receive their meals one at a time during the specified timeframes approved on your CMP application. They will have to consume their meals in a supervised or congregate setting, meaning that children will not be permitted to leave the site or the designated grounds where the meals are served with their meal or with any portion of their meal. Children participating in the program will also not be permitted to receive meals intended for later consumption. So for instance, you wouldn't be able to issue breakfast to children right after lunch service with the intent of that child consuming the meal the following morning. That's not going to be permitted once those waivers expire. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over to Courtney.
Okay, so as Stephanie has mentioned, effective July 1 for seamless summer option, we are expecting normal operations to resume. USDA did allow for states to apply for waivers. They're calling them the 12L waivers, but these are for instances that are very specific related to COVID, where there might be a need for some of these waivers that we have previously seen. So some of those that will affect seamless summer as well as the summer food service program are the non-congregate meal service, parent guardian pickup, meal service time flexibility, offer versus serve. Now, these waivers are not nationwide waivers. These are waivers that the state has had to request, but the usage of these waivers will be very, very different than what we've seen with the nationwide waivers. So these waivers, we've been instructed by USDA to only grant these waivers for very specific COVID instances when congregate feeding is limited. So these waivers are not going to be freely available for use. They are meant to be a safety net in case the numbers start to spike over the summer months. So when I think about these waivers, I think about what happened at the beginning of this past school year. So we, in late July, early August, really expected to see the school year 21-22 look very normal. We expected for the COVID numbers to be very low and that congregate food service as well as in-person learning was something that we expected to see much more of. And what we ended up seeing is that right before the start of the school year, there was a spike of COVID numbers. And so everybody was scrambling as to what to do now that the numbers have started to go up a little bit. Well, what USDA is trying to do here is to be proactive. And so to provide these resources for states to have in their back pocket, should that type of situation happen again. So these waivers are waiting in our back pockets should we see that COVID numbers start to spike and that there is a need to have some of these waivers come back for very, very short periods of time as a sponsor, school district, or even a site works through specific instances that are related to COVID. So these waivers will not be approved like we saw previously. So we would not be able to approve these for an entire school year, for an extended period of time. We would only be able to approve these for very, very short durations of time. And that approval would be based on very specific objective criteria related to COVID instances. So there would have to be a true objective COVID instance that would show that this particular site or sponsor has an increased COVID case load, and that there would be the need for these types of waivers for the duration of working through that particular spike. So I know that I've heard many times over the last couple of weeks, when waivers come out and options that are available, and when the hopes of some of these nationwide waivers, would be available. But what we know is that right now, as we plan for the summer, we do have nationwide waivers that were previously approved, and they are available for the seamless summer option only through June 30th. So the operations that we've seen thus far this school year can continue for school systems under the seamless summer option through the month of June. CACFP cannot continue after the school year ends. So even though the waivers do allow for continuance through June 30th for seamless summer, CACFP at-risk meals, it cannot follow that same structure, and it must end when the school year ends. Starting July 1, all seamless summer operations would need to return to normal pre-pandemic operations. And this is the same if you would decide effective July 1 to move to the summer food service program. Those would be still available we would still be expecting to return to pre-pandemic operations beginning July 1. So starting July 1, there are no nationwide waivers for the seamless summer option. There are also no nationwide waivers available for the summer food service program. And we do have the ability to have these possible COVID specific instance waivers, which will only be approved for very, very specific instances where congregate feeding is limited due to COVID. And so some of those waivers that would potentially be available, should they be needed, would be the non-congregate feeding waiver, parent pickup, as well as some of those other waivers that we've seen this far. Also, just as a reminder that when we do move to seamless summer operations July 1, the rate for seamless summer option would go back to being the traditional national school lunch, school breakfast rate, which begins on July 1. And the meal pattern would also need to reflect the meal pattern for national school lunch, school breakfast, which effective July 1, which would include the 80% whole grain for your grain options. So that is kind of a quick overview. I know this is a very short training, and that was kind of the intent, is just to provide the needed information. You can contact us with any additional questions. You can email us at childnutritionprograms@la.gov, or you can call us at 225-342-9661. If you do have any questions, you can put them in the chat box and we would be happy to answer those. We do have two questions that have come in to chat. The first one is about when will the National School Lunch Program application be opened for 22-23. So we intend to open that around the beginning of July. So we are working to get any updates made to have that available around the beginning of July. Also, second question is, have the COVID specific waivers been approved for Louisiana, or are they still pending? They have been approved by USDA. We are working through the specific criteria that USDA has requested that we have on these types of waivers, and we are working through processes, and we intend to have more information on these waivers as well as the ones that would potentially impact next school year on the monthly call next Tuesday. So our next monthly call is scheduled for this coming Tuesday, June the 7th at 1 o'clock. And so we do intend to discuss the waivers. So although we've just briefly mentioned the ones that impact seamless summer and summer feeding here, there are a total of 24 waivers that USDA made available. So there are waivers that impact many of our other programs that were not discussed in this particular presentation. If you have any other questions, please put them in chat and we'll be happy to answer those. Okay, well, we don't have any other questions, so we thank you for your time. Our goal was to keep this as short and sweet as we possibly could, and the goal was to keep it under 30 minutes, which we did do. If you do come up with any other questions, feel free to email or call us, and we look forward to seeing you on the monthly call next Tuesday. Thank you.